What's going on, guys? How are you doing today? Today we're going to be talking about two important things. The first thing is going to be about single card prices and what you need to be aware of in this current market. The second thing is what you can do both now and in the future to avoid the current situations of Prismatic, Destined Rivals, or in the past of Evolving Skies, along those lines. So the first thing I want to talk about is single card prices. Right now, you need to be super careful in this market. I've made videos in the past about single cards and kind of I wanted to stay away from the whole market because I know that the whole market side of Pokemon is flooded with people. But I do think it's important to make videos and at least bring it up in parts of my videos about certain single cards and prices that are going on with those cards. But for a prime example, the Mew has blown up again. Now it's starting to go back down, which I think is great. I do think that card is extremely overpriced, but it's a very popular card. It will be one of the top cards for Scarlet and Violet. Hopefully we see some regression with that card, but the main thing is be super careful of single cards right now, as far as it's a very volatile market. There are outside forces that are coming in that are causing cards to spike in price, and then they're going down in price. So, for example, the Umbreon from Prismatic. Now, I know it's a very popular card for the reasons that it's very expensive. I'm sure that there are people that have many of those cards, but that card, for example, was sitting under 800. It was sitting in the high 700s, and overnight, over a 2-day period, that card got bought out. There was 15 purchases over a 2-day period on TCG Player, and that card is now, there's like one or two that are in the 900s, the high 9s, and then the rest of them are over $1,000. So that card is going back up and continuing to climb. I do expect it to correct. Right now, I have no idea what that card is going to eventually get to. I was hoping that with Prismatic that the cards were going to continue to go down in price, and I was hoping that we'd be able to see that Umbreon around 500, 400, maybe even 300 at some point. I am quite confident that at some point, it's probably going to be very far away, but at some point in the next probably 2 years, we will see that card at a much lower price, 300 to 500 range, than at 1,000 plus. We'll have to see, but I'm fairly confident in that card will eventually start to go down. And then, of course, the other SIRs from Prismatic are all starting to climb as far as the evolutions. So there's definitely some market manipulation going on. Whether it's a group or some people that are heavily invested in those cards, they don't like the value of the cards going down. So somebody is buying up a lot of the cards, and there's really not a lot on the market that are available. In near mint, there's about 15 available. And I know that even the lightly played, it was going around 600s, and now that's gone up to, I believe when I was looking, around the 800s. So there's definitely some fishy stuff going on. Just be careful if you are a singles collector. I love singles. That's my favorite thing to have is singles. But with the way the market has been, it's so up and down. I am considering, instead of having English singles, going into like Chinese. Chinese is super inexpensive right now. It's the PSA 10 Groudon, and in a different language, it's like $70. It's like $20 for just a card itself, where the Groudon in English is sitting at almost $100 a card. So for me, I would like to have the English cards because, eventually over time, for the most part, they do go up in value also, but they're way more volatile. But right now, with how this market is, I'm definitely looking at getting different languages. The art's the same, if not better, and it's, you can get so much better of the less popular cards. Like the Bubble Mew right now in Japanese for Shining Treasures is going for like $400 on eBay. The Umbreon from Prismatic, it's going up in price too. So I'm staying away from from a lot of the really, the cards that are being heavily focused on right now. And my plan is to just watch the market and then pick and choose when to get stuff as I can, whether it's sealed or regular cards. And that's going to be another thing for future sets, whether it's Mega, Gen 10, whatever it is. If there's a card that you like and people are not paying attention to it, now if it's a super high FOMO card, obviously you're gonna have to just take your time and watch the market with it and decide what you value that card at. But if there's a card that you personally like that's maybe 20 bucks, 30 bucks, and you feel like picking it up, pick it up. You never know what this market's going to do. There are certain cards, certain Pokemon that people are going to go after more than others. But don't be FOMO'd into a card that you don't care about and end up spending $500, $1,000, $2,000 on that card. The next thing I want to get into is what can you do now and in the future, mostly in the future, to avoid the situation that so many people are in right now and be able to capitalize and get as much money take in on those profits instead of a lot of people who have missed out right now. So the biggest thing that I'm going to recommend to you guys, and it's going to sound like a no duh kind of play, but I think it's super important because I think there is going to be a long period of time here in the future, who knows when that's going to be, that Pokemon is going to be very barren and nobody cares about Pokemon. In general, I feel like a lot of the card games, they're not popular. They're not something that you go out into the real world and you say that you collect Pokemon cards or you collect Magic or One Piece. It's one of those, in my opinion, I feel like one of those hush-hush communities, also very stereotypical. So people in a normal market are not going to go out and brag. But with all that being said, I think it's extremely important that you start following that every single set, you try to at least get one booster box, one ETB of each ETB. So if Pokemon releases 2 ETBs, you get 2 of those Pokemon Center ETBs if you can. If you miss out, you miss out. Hopefully there'll be more drops in the future. And then you get 2 of the normal ETBs or 1 of each ETB. And any of the UPCs, SPCs. Like I said, I am a strong believer in the SPCs in long term. Yes, the Charizard. Yes, the 151. Those were all SPCs, UPCs. I also know there's like a Greninja one that hasn't done anything. But I think long term, even if the SPC is $50, $300, $400, $500, if not more, I especially think with the whole Team Rocket, I'm glad that everyone's hating on it. I hope a lot of people don't get it. I hope that it's in an abundance, and I will stack up on them when they start going down in price. I'll get a couple when they first come out, and then when they go down in price because nobody wants them, I'm going to load up on them. Which I actually heard something interesting, and let me know in the comments below if you've heard this as well, but I've heard that there's a rumor going around that the Moltres UPC is actually going to be a GameStop exclusive. Let me know if you've heard that, but I did see that floating around, that's what's being said about it. We'll see. That's obviously very interesting. GameStop, can't really trust them. Say that we eventually get to Gen 10, and you're able to, one way or another, get Phantasmal Flames, Mega Evolutions, the Rayquaza set, the Greninja set, 30th anniversary. We get to Gen 10, and you're able to get, again, all the ETBs, the booster boxes, even if it's just one, okay? Preferably, 2, 1 to open, 1 to keep for yourself, for your collection, your investments. But obviously at this point, beggars can't be choosers, so if you get 1, you just get 1, maybe open up some sleep packs, some booster bundles. But let's say we get to Gen 10. And Gen 10 is just awful. Like, the pull rates are super easy. Nobody cares about the Pokemon that are in it. It's super readily available. Like, we go back to a super bear market, okay? Keep collecting, and at that point, invest or collect more into it. So let's say Pokemon Center, I'm sure for a while they're going to have limits until they realize, like, not nobody, but a lot of the hype is gone. So, let's say the first set, you can't necessarily just go on Pokemon Center, but you give it a little bit, and you can go on TCG Player and get, you know, booster boxes for, you know, like 600. Okay, then eventually Pokemon Center will open up the floodgates and just say, hey, you know, and of course they won't be a good deal, but once you start seeing that, that means buy more of it, even if you don't like the set, even if the set's terrible. There's no good Pokemon, even if the artwork's great. Let's just say there's like a platypus. Okay, nobody cares about a platypus. Let's say that that's one of them, some sort of platypus looking creature. Keep collecting, and you keep doing it for each set of what you can afford. Don't go into debt over Pokemon. It's not worth it. You're gonna end up having to get rid of everything you have and lose out regardless. But just keep collecting, and don't stop collecting. Every single set, every set that comes out, keep doing it. SPCs, UPCs, PCETBs, even if nobody cares about it, keep stocking up, because you never know when this market could turn. I think, again, my opinion, that when this bubble or hype dies, because a lot of people say we're not in a bubble, when this hype dies, I think we're looking at like a dark winter where it's going to be a long time where you can't really make money from Pokemon. You can't just offload a bunch of your product. Okay, so that's another thing is keeping in consideration how long do you want to have this, because you may not see any sort of gains. You might see, oh, you got a booster box for 120, and then, you know, a month later it goes to $100, hypothetically speaking. Okay, so you might be losing money instead of gaining money, which is a typical thing. And of course, over time, it's going to just go up, regardless of what market we're in. It's not going to stay that way forever. And then if you do that over 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, and you keep doing it, you will never not have prismatic. You'll never not have that evolving skies. Again, nobody knows what set's going to be what. Everyone hated Paldea Evolved. They thought it was a stupid set. Nobody cared about the Magikarp. When the Magikarp first came out, it was like a $20, $30 card. Now look at it. You could have, if you had $500, you could have definitely gotten yourself a PSA 10 version, and look at that. You could have quadrupled your money, if not more. So that's my opinion. That's my suggestion to you guys. That's definitely what I'm going to be doing in the future. I've been here since the beginning, when Pokemon first came out. Stopped for a while. Then I have my son. We came back around in the XY. So we had Evolutions. We had Crimson Invasion. We had Roaring Skies. I could go to my Dollar Tree and pick up all the Dollar Tree packs that I wanted to of Roaring Skies. But at that time, I was, you know, we were just opening up packs. So Shining Legends and all that stuff. It wasn't collecting or investing. Now looking back, I should have grabbed the ETBs and just held on to them. But you know, you shoulda, woulda, coulda. You can only do so much. So that's my plan, and that's what anybody who watches my videos, I will never tell you to buy something or do something that I'm not going to do myself. So I missed out on Evolving Skies. I could have gotten Evolving Skies at $200 a booster box. Instead, not a couple months later, but that Christmas, I did Silver Tempest, $140 a booster box for that. So, you know, I should have gone ahead and paid an extra like $80 and gotten Evolving Skies, because I think at that point Evolving Skies was going for like $300. But again, you can't do anything about it. So if you're one of those people who's like, oh, I gotta get Destined Rivals right now because I'm gonna miss out and it's the next Evolving Skies, it might be the next Evolving Skies. I don't think it is. I think Destined Rivals is extremely overhyped. I think the Ho-Ho looks goofy with the trainer. Nobody cares about trainers. So you have the Garchomp. Nobody cares about Garchomp. The Ho-Ho looks goofy. The Moltres is the only, in my opinion, that should be the top SIR. The Mewtwo looks goofy because it's got Giovanni. And he's not even doing anything. The Moltres looks like it's burning down a city. That was my chase card for Destined Rivals that I was eventually going to get, but now it's going to be in the UPC. So that's why I'm going to get a couple of the UPCs and get that, and then hopefully get one engraded in the PSA 10. That is what I would suggest to you guys. If you're afraid of missing out on the next Evolving Skies, the next $3,000 booster box, or the next Destined Rivals or Prismatic Evolutions, just stick with, no matter what anybody says, get every single set. Get as much of it as you can. Right now, obviously, that's crazy. It's ridiculous. I'm not suggesting that. But when this market slows down, get a case if you can afford a case when it's down at like 600, 800 bucks a case, okay? The Pokemon Center ETBs, as long as those continue to be popular, obviously when Pokemon allows you to do it, keep loading up on those. And then that way, when we hit a crazy market, you'll have product that you don't care about, that everyone's like, oh my gosh, that's the best set ever. And you're like, yeah, right. The set was trash a year ago. You go, I didn't care about the set when it first came out. I still don't care about this set. You can sell it off. And then you can go and get Destined Rivals, or get an Evolving Skies, or get cards that you haven't been able to get in a couple of years because you bought product you didn't care for. It's blown up in price. And now you can just get rid of it. And that way you never have to worry about it. So I appreciate you guys watching. I appreciate all the support on the channel. Do me a favor, like, comment, share, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.